For over a decade, some of the world's best drivers and best cars have battled it out from day to night across continents and across classes. 99 times, history has been written, and this is race 100. And it happens here in the land of the rising sun, where racing legends can be made. So, welcome to your race preview for the 6 Hours of Fuji. My name's Rendell, and I'm delighted to be, as always, joined by our resident expert Sam Smith. And Sam, what a place to celebrate the WEC's 100th race, right at the base of Mount Fuji.
It's a perfect place for the centenary race. 13 years on from that first event at Sebring, which I was really fortunate to be at, and I'm really looking forward to Sunday afternoon here at Fuji Speedway. They call it Speedway for a reason, Alexa, that mile-long straight, but also a bit of a compromise with Sector 3, really technical challenges the drivers and the team. So lots to look forward to. Lots of different strategies are going to come into play on Sunday. So yeah, a perfect venue for the 100th race.
And given how race-defining the rain ended up being last time out in Qatar, I think it's probably worth touching on the weather forecast again.
It's a little microclimate here, so think of it as an Asian spa in a way. You get little pockets of weather coming in. We've seen it before. When it does come down, it usually comes down pretty rapidly and torrentially. What we're seeing in the long-term forecast for Sunday is probably isolated showers, which could really spice up the race. So that'll come into the thinking of the teams and drivers, and I think it'll just add another fascinating element to the penultimate round of the championship.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we emphasise how close we are to that season finale now. This is where things really do get serious. I keep saying it, but there are championships that could actually be won this weekend, Sam.
It's the business end, isn't it? You know, I think what we could see is the manufacturer's crown in the hypercar category wrapped up by Ferrari. They've got a 65-point advantage, and there's 39 to play for in Bahrain. So if they get solid points here, I could see that that first gong, that first crown of the year being taken by the prancing horse. The drivers' titles quite nicely positioned, actually. 15 points between the 51 and the 83 crew. So I think that will probably go to Bahrain. I think that'll be a fascinating thread. We spoke at Qatar, didn't we, about how Ferrari and AF Course might look at how they play that when it comes to a title challenge. So that has a sort of increased fascination, I think, going towards Bahrain.
And now we arrive here to the home race for Toyota Gazoo Racing, quite literally their backyard, and also one of the tracks that they've been absolutely dominant at over the years. Only not won, what, 2 or 3 of the races here?
Well, they've won, yeah. They're going for a 10th win here
It's mental.
This weekend. And, you know, they had quite a scrappy race here last year. And it was almost Bahrain apart where they wrapped up the Manufacturers' Championship. I think it was almost a portent of what was to come in 2025, because they have gone on this streak where they've not been on the podium all season. That's going to hurt, and there's no better place to try and rectify that than here at Fuji Speedway. Mike Conway's back in the number 8 car, which is great to see a healthy Mike back in the car. And in terms of who wins these races, we've had 11 6 Hours of Fuji. Toyota have won 9 and Porsche have run 2. So no one else is yet to get in there. So this could be the season where an interloper gets in and sort of breaks that hegemony.
Well, speaking of Porsche, it's a good time to talk about them, because coming off the back of Qatar, the number 6 took their first victory of the year, Porsche's first victory of the year in Hypercar in the WEC. Things are really looking good for them with that kind of momentum, and they won this race last time out.
Yeah, they did a super job at Qatar, very difficult conditions. The way that Kevin Estre, Matt Campbell and Lawrence Vantour handled that race was impeccable. You know, it was kind of mirrored Le Mans, different conditions, different challenge, but they didn't put a foot wrong, and this time they finished first, and that will be heartening for them, because it was all the way back to Fuji, of course, that they'd won the last race and set up the title for their 2024 success. So I think they're down to 2 this weekend with Lawrence and Kevin. The Lawrence and Kevin show is back again. Matt's taking a break until Bahrain. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see if Porsche can double up and defend their 6 Hours of Fuji title. And, you know, don't forget the 5 car as well. We've got a change there too, with Matteo Jaminet coming in for Michael Christensen. So that duo will be interesting to watch as well.
Moving on to our championship leaders in both the manufacturers and in the drivers' title fight right now. Of course, talking about Ferrari, and even when they didn't necessarily have the best day back in Qatar, they were still scoring good points, and that's what makes a championship fight, isn't it, Sam?
Absolutely key, and you're absolutely right. James Calado described it as a bit of a miracle to finish fifth after their troubles that they had. There was contact with the number 6. So what was key there was actually the 51 getting to the finish in 5th place and recovering from that puncture. And I think that's going to be absolutely key. If you can get solid points on tough days or days where there's a lot of action and maybe things don't go for you, that's where the difference is made in the championship. And that's why the 51 crew have to still be the favourites. But look, the 83 crew, Robert Kubica is super fired up. We saw that in Qatar. He had a little bit of a scrappy race, but actually in qualifying he proved to be the quickest overall. And I think the 83 still has something to say when it comes to the championship here.
Moving down the pit lane a little bit, let's talk about Peugeot TotalEnergies getting their second WEC career podium last time out.
Yeah, and a second podium for this new look 9X8. I think they did a really good job at Qatar. Super exciting. You know, Stoffel Vandoorne looked like he might hold on to second place there. Didn't quite, but still a podium, a fantastic result. Great to see those scenes in the garage afterwards. And yeah, I mean, a testament to their hard work. I mean, you don't get anywhere without hard work and getting the data and development and understanding the car more. And they've done that. And, you know, they could have another good race here at Fuji. So momentum is everything in endurance racing, and Peugeot TotalEnergies have that right now.
And another team that's really starting to gain some momentum right now is, of course, the Heart of Racing programme, the Aston Martin, the Valkyrie. Last time out, the 94 car that got the podium was battling with the 007 car. There's something to be said there that until, okay, they didn't end up finishing the race, but until that point, they were quick.
Yeah, they were there on merit, weren't they? And they were, I'm not sure if they got a podium, but even a 4th and 5th. They were right in the mix there of getting a top result. Wasn't meant to be, but as Ian James said on Full Access, Alexi, it's all about the data, it's all about learning, it's all about getting as much preparation as they can for next season when they can really hit the ground running and understand more about this fabulous Valkyrie hypercar. Fuji will be tough because it's a circuit where you don't have any chance of testing. It's quite quirky, quite hard to understand from an initial base design. So let's see, you know, they've surprised us in the last few races. They could easily do it again here in Japan.
Moving on to Cadillac Hertz Team Jota. Now, obviously, Qatar perhaps didn't go the way that they had hoped, but let's not forget, they got pole position here last year. They won when we were in Interlagos. Things are set up for perhaps a really good result here.
Yeah, good pedigree for the Dallara chassis here. It really works, gets really hooked up. We saw that fabulous pole position for Alex Lynn 12 months ago. There is a feeling in the paddock that Caddy could be a favourite this weekend. Tricky Qatar for them, weather affected, obviously qualifying, and then the race, it didn't quite happen. But I think here at Fuji, they've got a real chance of continuing that momentum. And look, you know, it's an outside chance of a sniff of the championship, but Cadillac Hertz Team Jota are very capable of just dragging back into it and worrying Ferrari.
When the mass is there, it's still possible, right? And another team that I wanted to look at, well, two teams actually, were the two on the podium here alongside Porsche last year, BMW and Alpine. Podiums last season, can they do it again?
They can. They've threatened to, haven't they, this season? They had a really good sort of early period at Imola. They were strong, and then they've had some reliability issues. We saw that at Qatar as well with the number 20 stopping early doors. I think BMW, they share an architecture with the chassis, the Dallara chassis. So in terms of the handling of the car, it should be there or thereabouts. And they only finished, I think, 16 seconds off the winning number 6 last year. So I think that they can look forward to another crack at a podium at least.
Things like this make a difference in a race, right? We have to also remember to touch on Alpine.
We do. Sorry, I was just stunned by the athleticism of these magnificent men at Jota. I would say yes. I think that Alpine could be a genuine dark horse for a strong result here this weekend. I think that they have got, or they will have, good conditions for their straight line speed here. I think they'll be super quick getting through traffic, and I think that'll aid them to put together a race that they threatened to do this season. You know, they feel like a team that understand how to get a result, but just haven't had the opportunity so far this year with this updated A424 hypercar.
And moving on to LMGT3, and we should really start off by talking about last time out in Qatar, where it was a really dramatic race, lots of different teams involved, but ultimately Ford and Ferrari's pain was McLaren's gain.
Nice headline, Alex, I like it. It was a really interesting race. We were tracking the 54 Vista AF Course Ferrari with David Rigon aboard quite a way back from that, knowing that he was on slicks and had to get them up to tyre temperature. Fantastically entertaining end to the race. Unfortunately, it got a bit too close with Davide. Sort of a little bit of impatience there. I mean, you can kind of understand where he was trying to make hay there, but it was just a little bit too premature. Tagged the Ford Mustang, and that got the penalty. So unfortunate for them. But of course, what it allowed us was this great storyline of United Autosports winning McLaren's first ever WEC race.
Super pleased for them.
Which is a really sort of historic milestone for this team. They've been close several times, not least at Qatar, of course, when they tracked the 33. So great day for McLaren, and they can be quick again here at Fuji. They had a really solid race here last year, and I think they can really build on that and get another top result here on Sunday.
Well, the one thing I'm loving about LMGT3 at the moment is just how competitive it is. We saw Ford with their success and things that didn't quite go to plan, but Porsche also kind of making the same mistake as Ford. The number 92 Manthey, yes, it sort of slipped down the results towards the end of the race, but they still came away with a small number of points, and it seems to be that little collective point scoring system that they've got going on, where they're just little and often they're still building up those tally. It's really lending itself to a championship run for them. And then also when you look at it, 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. So it's not just Manthey that are going to be in the fight here.
Yeah, it's ultra close. I mean, the 92 Manthey first form kind of feels like the 51 in Hypercar. When it has issues and it's not able to fight for the win, which it feels like maybe it could do on occasions, like potentially Qatar if they'd got the call right at that last stop. And they weren't the only ones, but they're getting good points when others are falling away and not having the consistency. But as you said, ultra close with many others in the game to try and knock them off their perch.
And last but by no means least, we've got to talk about Lexus, their home race this weekend. And given how successful their season has been, they've just made leaps and bounds from where they were this time last year. Is there potential for a little bit more at their home race?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's a French-entered team, but they're very much a all Japanese entity this weekend with the Lexus brand here on home turf. So a good amount of pressure, but the right amount of pressure for them to perform, because look, they've shown this season how quick they can be, how much slicker they can be. The development that's been done in conjunction with Toyota Gazoo Racing as well. Pachito is back, Jose Miguel Lopez is back in the team. So they've got a full complement of drivers now that Ben Barnico is fully recovered from his injury he had early in the season. So they've got all the ingredients to prosper again, and I think they're going to pick up some new fans here this weekend as well. It's not going to be just Toyota that these grandstands are going to be full of. There's going to be plenty of Lexus aficionados here on Sunday afternoon.
And Sam, as always, to finish us off, your favourite time of the show? Well, actually, I think it is, given that you've had quite a good run lately. Predictions?
Nice little review of what I achieved at Qatar, I think, Alexa. Thank you very much. Number 6 winning.
Yes, all right.
Look, I think I'm pretty clear on this, actually. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy victory. It's going to be hard won, as always, in the WEC. I think it will be a second victory of the season for number 12.
Oh,
I think Cadillac will just come through with their potential at this racetrack. I think Alex Lynn, Will Stevens and Norman Nato work supremely well as a trio. And I think Caddy can take a multi-manufacturer championship, drivers' championship battle to Bahrain. And I think they'll succeed on Sunday.
I quite like the sound of that storyline. That sounds good. And go on, LMGT3.
Yeah, a bit more sort of multifaceted this. I think it will come down to several manufacturers really fighting for the win. If we get a bit of rain, there could be a surprise. We talked about Lexus. I think they'll be in the mix. But I think ultimately, the heart of racing, the number 27, I think will come through and take their first victory of the season and their second in total in the WEC. So I'm backing Ian James and the gang on Sunday here at Fuji.
You said that with quite some confidence. I'll be intrigued to see how this all plays out.
Confident on the outside, the inside's a different matter.
No, just make sure you pretend to be confident. Everyone believes it's fine. Don't worry. Thank you so much for joining us, Sam, and thank you for watching along. Don't forget, you can follow along live on FIAWEC.tv from FP3 onwards, and all of the updates across the weekend will be on the WEC social media. We'll see you next time.